What is up, everyone? JD here. Hope you're all doing well today. Apologies if you do hear my fan going in the background. A little warm in the garage today. Don't want to sweat to death. But today I'm excited to bring you another Everyday Carry Walk and Talk episode. And this one, we're going to be talking about 5 killer knives that are small but mighty. So let me go ahead and jump into my honorable mentions. There are 3, and then we'll jump into my 5 picks. The 5 picks are in no particular order. They're just 5 that I really like. As I thought through the knives that I have that are a little bit smaller, very fifth pocket or pocket organizer, drop in the pocket type knives, but I just really do like them a whole lot. All right, so first honorable mention is going to be my Chernobyl Ant. This is by far my favorite FINCH, and I do like this one a lot. Very comfortable to use and a very nice 5th carry pocket knife. But there is one that I actually like just a little bit better, but they're pretty interchangeable, meaning you could swap either one of these out to make it into the final 5. But I really do like this one. I do believe it comes in my car that has this resin, and I think there is one that has like a bone scale on it. Really cool pocket clip on this. Just a great knife, and again, could be interchangeable with the FINCH that actually did make it on the list. Next honorable mention is going to be one that I don't think enough people really talk about, and I think part of that might be because of the blade shape, but that is going to be the Vivi Mini Asticus. They do have G10 variants out there, and I think they even revised it maybe to include a couple of micarta variants that have the 10CR blade steel, which I really do like. That is more of a kitchen grade steel. You'll see that on a lot of chef knives, a lot of kitchen knives. But this one I picked up with the, I think it's the Cuborsha wood, if I remember right. I'm 100% sure on that. I also like the fact that it shows a little bit more of like a burn here on the wood scale. I thought that was kind of neat looking. Really nice hollow grind. This is a very thin, slicey knife. It has a very good hollow grind with a swedge, and it's very comfortable ergonomically. I think people look at this and they think of it has like a Persian upsweep, but it actually is a drop point. It's just the contouring of the handles that make it look like that. Really good ergonomics. Only complaint about this one is the access to the lock bar is a little bad, but solid detent on this one here, and it has really smooth action. It is shake shut, but it is not drop shut. Really just a knife I think a lot of people overlook for a small EDC knife that is in that Elementum territory for sure. So that is another honorable mention that I really did like, but didn't get enough carries to be in my list. The last one, and this one's tough too, it barely got bumped out, and that is going to be the Doug Ritter RSK MK1. This is the mini variant of it. I do love this one for a 5th pocket and organizer knife. My only complaint here is because I do have the larger hands, it is a little bit awkward when I want to choke up to get on it because my thumb ends up blocking a lot of the cutting edge, especially if I'm coming across. Now if you're going straight down, it's okay because it does have the thumb studs anyway, which do help it keep it off the corner here where the sharpening choil is. But I don't think this one gets carried quite as much as the ones that were in my top 5. I had a list where it was on there, but there was a knife, and it's going to be actually my favorite out of all of these. It'll be the #1 pick. That kind of bumped it down. But this is another honorable mention, a crossbar lock. They call theirs the Able lock. That has really good strength, and this one I think would be a surprising worker, especially if you have smaller hands or if you're a lady with smaller pockets that aren't very deep. This will fit into your pocket because I carry this one in my 5th pocket often, and I think that 5th pocket is about the same as the pocket depth on the girls' jeans. So really nice one. Also contouring scales and the bidirectional milling on here make it really confident in grip in hand. Another knife I don't think enough people talk about because it's been around a long time, but 20 CV G10 bidirectional and a crossbar lock, solid little knife. I like that one a lot. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the list with the number 5 knife on my list, and that is going to be the QSP Penguin. I do have the titanium frag pattern one out here, but the micarta variant is really good as well. And I know they have some carbon fiber, but I think their carbon fiber is still a little too slick for me from the ones that I have handled. I really love this more premium variant because it is a little bit more skinny in profile, a little bit more friendly to carry, and a little bit more friendly in hand grip if you have smaller hands. The frag pattern on here is really grippy, but it still goes in and out of the pocket pretty good. This pocket clip here is pretty springy, so it does a good job going in and out of the pocket, catching it and everything that you want as far as getting it in with one hand and out. Just pulling it out doesn't drag. It doesn't seem to catch too much on that cutout. I was worried about that myself. Once in a while it'll catch, and I think that's more if like I'm starting to pull and I'm coming up out at an angle, it kind of catches a little bit funny. But it has a really good utility shaped blade, really well done black wash on the 154 cm. They did knock it down, so you do have really nice access to the lock bar, and it has ceramic bearings in the pivot, so the action on this is really good. I'm very excited that they're coming out with a full-size Penguin, or a large, or a Penguin large, or whatever they're going to call it, but it's a larger size one, because I do like this one, but if I'm holding it back behind the guard, I'm starting to fall off a little bit here. If I do choke up, I am able to fully get a nice grip on this one, but it is, for my hand, just a little bit small, but that's why it is on this list, because it's so good that I actually just could not leave this off the list. And again, man, it just is, it's an awesome knife. There's a reason this one is so popular. This one to me rivals the Vivi Elementum in popularity because of how good this is. So that is why it's number 5 on my list. Number 4 is going to be a very popular button lock, and this button lock actually did replace the Elementum on my list, and that is going to be this Vivi Altus. I really like this one a lot. Now, the Elementum does have a really nice thin hollow grind on it, which I really do like, very slicey for an EDC. But in all honesty, because I do tend to use my smaller knives a little bit harder, I like the fact that this is a flat grind, that it has a little bit thicker of a spine. I'm not talking a huge difference, but it is a little bit thicker, but it is virtually almost a full flat grind. It's still able to remain super slicey, very lightweight. I actually like the fact that this does retain the drop point very similar to how the Elementum does, so that you can do your utility and your draw cuts very nicely without having to get too high up out in a uncomfortable position. This does a really good job also keeping the hand locked in and really close. Now, smaller knives are harder to move around on. Any of these are going to be true to that fact, but it does a really nice job allowing me to get all 4 fingers on here. It is a little bit on top of this nub here for me because of my large hands, but it's not uncomfortable. They did a good job chamfering and rounding that, so it does feel very comfortable in hand. And again, really good action. This is still my favorite small button lock knife budget wise so far to date. I think the thumb studs on here and the fact that it is smaller but still has that same size diameter button lock that you find on like the Conspirator, the Chevalier, etc., that does cause it to have a heavier detent, so it does require more ramp up to launch it, and it's still very smooth at the same time. So this is a great knife. I did go ahead and pick up the Banter pocket clip on here, and that just further amplified how good this is going in and out of the pocket, and then it eliminated the pokiness that you get with that factory Vivi pocket clip that comes on this. So that Banter pocket clip works really well with this one. I do also really like the red G10 with the black wash. It actually has a very Saint Nick Knives vibe to it with that black and red, which I think is really gorgeous because it has a blacked out hardware. But I just could not resist picking up the wood on the smaller knife. I think the smaller knives wear that wood really well because it's, you know, it's a little amount and it's very balanced with the knife to handle ratio. So that is number 4 on my list Number 3 is probably going to be one that surprises folks that it's so high up on the list, but I think it's another knife that is severely overlooked, and that is going to be the Delica 4. The bidirectional pattern on here and the multitude of options. You can get S30V, 20CV, K390. I'm sure I'm forgetting some. This is just the base with the VG10. I am debating picking up the S30V variant because I do like S30V for a EDC knife a little bit better. Really awesome edge retention, ease of sharpening, and good toughness, good corrosion resistance, and just swapping it out because I don't like the mint scales. I really do love this zombie green. I think it looks really good, but this has got excellent ergos, really nice thin and slicey, but strong out on the tip. They did a good job with the bend here, the bend giving it some strength so that it's not just completely straight out and flimsy. That bend reinforces the tip a little bit on this one, but really good ergos. It actually does fit in my 5th pocket. I do often put it in an organizer that just stows down in the pocket, and this is really smoothed out a lot, and the VG10 has performed really well on this knife. I know VG10 isn't the greatest steel out there, but I think for this price point, it's more than acceptable. It's around that 154 cm level of performance, but I have found that the VG10 feels a little bit more toothy, and I think it actually likes a little bit of a more gritty grind. Feels like it will perform there. The edge retention on it is just not as good as 154 cm, but I really do like the ergos and the size of this knife, and I think it is very friendly for the females that have the shallow pockets because of the fact that if you're not interested in the pocket clip, this position here means that you're only actually having to stow that much knife, so really not a lot of knife that you're stowing down in the pocket. So really nice for the ladies, and again for me, for the 5th pocket or the organizer, to stow it down in the pocket, that is awesome. I love that one a lot. Number 2 is a knife that I picked up here recently, and this is the one that I was talking about that is pretty much interchangeable on the list from FINCH, and that is going to be the 1934. Now I like this one here because it is a chunky knife just like the Chernobyl Ant, but this actually has a little bit more handle for me to hang on to, while the Ant does give me the full 4-finger grip because it's a little bit longer. It's more slender, so I actually get more finger pad on this particular knife. It does have a nice tall flat grind on it, which actually translates to the fact that this does slice through materials really well. Now I haven't been fidgeting with this one as much, but I do carry it and cut with it often. I probably need to bring it out and just fidget with it and continue to break it in. I have not broken it in all the way, which is why it doesn't fall shut. You do see I'm like having to shake it a bunch to get it there, and these are really light shakes that I'm doing, but I have a feeling once I finish breaking this in, it will be very, very smooth. 154 cm here done by QSP is really nice. It does drop down to a decent spot, not great. You do have to come up a little bit for the draw cuts, but I mean really that doesn't bother me too much. I actually find if I get a little bit of a pinch grip and I just grab it real quick, I can actually use the entire belly of this piece here to cut down on the labels for when I'm shipping things out that I may have sold, sending in for warranty claims, you know, whatever it is that I'm using to cut out a label, which is not as often as cutting and breaking into boxes and breaking down boxes, which is what I really like about this. It has a nice flat spot here for you, and this one here is very sharp, very thin, very slicey. Does not have a super thick stock, a little bit more thicker than the Altus that I showed you earlier, but not super thick. It's pretty thin still, especially when you look against the handles here. Ergo's really good on this one. Pocket clip works really well. Love that they do a milled titanium pocket clip on their knives. I wish all manufacturers would do that, even if you're putting it on aluminum or steel. I just love the way that that makes the knife feel in hand because it gets the pocket clip as close as it can to the handles, but still giving you enough clearance to go in and out of most materials as far as jeans pockets go. So that is the number 2 pick on my list. But again, these are all super duper close, and you could probably interchange plenty of them. Number 1, and this one's really pushing the small but mighty knife list because it is a full 4-finger grip, but it is smaller. That is going to be the Convict Convict. I really like this one. Very close to the bug out in size, just a little bit shorter because it does have that sheep's footy, Warncliffey style blade there that has the utility tip out on the end. But this one's super duper thin. It does still have contoured scales, just very minimal contouring going onto it. Nice access to the thumb studs for deployment, and just wow, super smooth. It has remained centered. This has got to be my favorite concept knife. I really do like this one a lot. Again, it is a 4 full finger grip. It does carry a little bit deeper in the pocket than any of the other knives that I mentioned out there. You're hitting right about there, which is leaving about that much knife. So about the same as the FINCH 1934, but again, this is definitely a smaller knife. And just for a size reference, let me bring out the Conspirator here so that you guys can get an idea of why I say that this still does fit into that small knife territory. So you can see against this Conspirator here, you're stopping about here on the Conspirator, which makes the Conspirator look really small. And let me see, what else can I bring out here to show you guys? And bring it up here against the Shaman. I'm making sure that I'm lining this up because the Shaman contours back here. So you can see it is a smaller knife, but it still offers that full 4 finger grip. That's my number 1 pick. S35VN, you know, I don't think I talked about blade steel consistently on these knives. I do apologize. So going through the list, the Penguin 154cm, the Altus had Nitro V, the Delica 4 had the VG10, the 1934 again 154cm, and the Concept Convict had S35VN. It has a very tall, fully flat grind. It does seem thick here because of the height of this blade, though. It is very thin, which allows it to get through the material very easily, even though it is thick. I love the look of this particular one here. Lockup's good. They did chamfer down here, so you can get down into that lock bar really nicely, because by chamfering it, they do kind of make it as thin as possible at the tip with a little bit of thickness to make sure it has that strength. But it does let you get in there with the fingers really nicely. The bronze on the gray and then the gray into the black fade on this just looks really good. One of my favorite convicts. Convict is the name. One of my favorite knives from Concept for sure. Hope you enjoyed this list. If you did, do me a favor, leave a like. Consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed to the channel. Don't forget to turn that notification bell to all so you don't miss anything that comes up on the channel. And I hope all of you have a fantastic week. Until next time, peace.